So before we watch the Paul Bonacci deposition, you should go into listening to this with a viewpoint of basically not putting these people on a pedestal. You know, people that you once voted for, people you once believed in, and then current people. You know, I mean, Trump is in the Epstein files as well, as well as Zoran Mamdani's mom going to a party at Ghislaine Maxwell's house. Um, Try not to be so tribal in thinking that it, Bush could never do this. He's a Texan. He's a Texan boy, which they're not. I believe they came from Tennessee and then they moved to Texas. So he's not exactly a Texan. But you cannot go into this with the viewpoint of my guy, my side, my political party is not a part of any of this. They wouldn't do such a thing. They're godly people. And that is a problem that some people on the right have. And, I probably was like that way back in the day too. But you spend enough time, watching the kind of things that I do on X, the things you see, you realize that anybody is capable of evil, especially those that act the holiest. So, um, just be open minded, like you always should. Uh, George H.W. Bush has had many allegations against him since the 70s, probably even earlier than that, back when he was an FBI director, and then probably earlier than that. And the main ones that everybody seemed to have forgotten about came from this guy, Paul. And he got labeled, well, they said he had bipolar disorder, which, if what he's saying is true, the life that he basically got forced into at the age of 6 for sex trafficking across the country to sex parties for probably people that you voted for, then I would understand. I could see why somebody like that may not be right in the head, especially now, or when this person was younger and talking about this on camera before people really got, you know, conspiracies existed back then, but now it's kind of overwhelming how many conspiracies that there are and how many things that have come true. And just remember, this guy Paul talked about he worked at Bohemian Grove. He got flown there to work, and that is supposedly where the elites, and it was always labeled as the Republicans. They would fly there to the Bohemian Grove, I believe it's in Cali, to participate in the mock ritual of basically a child sacrifice, and it's underneath this giant owl statue, and I believe it's called the Cremation of Care, CAIR, I think. So you might not want to believe that these people are capable of doing the things that they do. Uh, and you can say, the cremation of care, it's just a play. It's not real. It's not real. But it's still really fucking weird that they're, all attending this mock sacrifice of a child underneath a giant owl statue. So, and that was basically what first probably led me to Paul. Somehow, just one day, maybe 15 years ago, I came across that deposition, the one that I'm about to play, where he was talking about. Well, you'll see. I don't want to ruin it, but it made me look at politics in a completely different way because you want to believe that the people that are in power, the ones that are supposedly trying to save the country, protect the country, are doing it for the greater good. But they're probably really only doing it just to save their own asses. Because of the amount of corruption that exists within themselves and others, the things that they have to do to get to that level. So don't let your tribalistic, opinionated, biased viewpoints for your own, basically to protect your own ego of where you've put your trust in, of who you have put your trust into for decades. And that's very hard to get rid of that. You're lifting the veil over somebody, off somebody's eyes, and presenting them with something that it sounds like it's just fantasy. when you read some of the things that were in the Epstein files, it sounds just like somebody made it all up. It sounds like a script for a Hollywood movie or just a storybook. Um, and that's why these people can get away with this stuff, is because it sounds so fantastical. It sounds so outrageous that normal people, me, everybody else that's gonna watch this, the normies, most of them, 99% of them, will not think that it's possible. But evil exists, and if you are, a Christian or you believe in God, then you have to believe that evil exists. And what a better example of these alleged crimes that have allegedly been committed to show that evil is here. It does exist, and you still won't acknowledge it because you were tricked in believing that the people committing these acts were on your side, that they were good, simply because they maybe stood at the altar, the podium, whatever, and told you that they were a Christian, they believed in God, they were a holy man, whatever. It's all about the sell. Politicians, they're just selling you themselves. They're all full of shit. Uh, Even the ones you may like, they're probably just think of it like this. Do you think that these people in power, given the chance that they had to save their ass for something like this, or your ass, whose ass do you think they would be saving in that process? Do you think that they would be saving themselves? These powerful men, women, do you think that they would be uh, doing anything that would put themselves in jeopardy, their family in jeopardy, their riches in jeopardy, or the nobody, the me, the you, the millions of people that are nobodies compared to those in power? Do you think that these people would risk everything that they have achieved, everything they have accomplished, whether it was given to them or not, or they took it? Um, do you think that they would give that all up to tell you that, hey, everything I've told you before was a lie and that I'm actually just an evil piece of shit? Well, so with saying that, let's watch.
You, Larry King from Omaha.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then about Franklin King, credit union. Met him in 80, and I met him in 82 or 83 at the parties. Seen him in 80 at rituals. I seen him in 79 at a couple of rituals, but I never really knew who he was until 80, and then I was introduced to him. And in 82, 83, some stuff happened. I met him at the parties I met him through Bear. And then he started inviting me to his parties and stuff, which I never really had to do anything with him as long as I kept his big shots that he brought in happy. He didn't expect nothing from me. He paid me good.
Who were the big shots he brought in?
A lot of them, I don't know. A lot of them were like senators and congressmen from other states.
State senators or U.S.
He'd send me
senators?
to them.
State senators or U.S. senators?
State senators, U.S. senators, congressmen, governors. I mean, that's where I got involved with the Washington, D.C. and stuff, and went to Washington, D.C. a lot. And he was also, I believe, involved with Monarch, because I remember seeing him, or a fat man that looked like him, maybe younger, in the early 70s and stuff when I first got involved with Monarch. So I think it was him. I'm not 100% sure. Off an Air Force Base, which is also where I met Wall.
Which Wall? Name it. First name. I want it from you.
What, Jerry?
What was his first name?
Jerry?
Yeah. Jerry Wall,
Jerry Wall, the FBI. He was an FBI agent in Omaha. Traveled a lot.
When did you meet Wall?
Actually, trying to go through that. I'm not sure, but I remember seeing him in a lot of the things that we did all through the midway through the 70s up until probably after about 76 to about the time I got away from everything in 86. It's about a 10-year period that maybe, about that About that long.
How many times did you see him?
I seen him a lot of times. Whenever I went to training and stuff, he was one of the guys that was there. I never really got to, I mean, not every time I went to training, but about once every couple of months I'd see him.
Training for what?
Monarch.
Okay.
He was
I
one
just
of the
want
guys.
I just want you to say this.
Yeah, okay.
So there's no question about what you're
Okay.
talking about. You understand what
He
I'm
was
doing?
one of the guys that did the mind control stuff that would kind of be like the protector. He'd kind of talk to you when things are happening and stuff and kind of try to make you think that he was on your side and stuff and you could trust him. You couldn't trust nobody else, but you could trust him.
You said that Larry King would send you out to politicians and congressmen, senators. So how did you know they were congressmen, senators?
Well, a lot of times when we were like in Washington D.C. and stuff, I figured it out after a while when they came in and like some of them had bodyguards. You know, they'd come in and look around. You know, and they'd always be like, they'd always have forward guys that would go in before they would. If they made a shot, I guess the forward guy would be shot. And that was mainly with the congressmen and stuff. The governors, we went to different states and we met with, I think I was only with 2 governors.
What state did you go to and when?
There was one out in New York or Massachusetts. I've been trying to figure that one out because we were in, where we were at was like real close to either side. So I don't know where it was at, but I do know that I met with Senator Barney Franks, who was from Boston, or something like that.
Is he U.S. Senator?
I believe so. Barney Franks.
Did he molest you?
He had sexual relations with me.
Okay.
That's
Is it Franks? F-R-A-N-K-S? Okay, who are the governors? Can you remember? Did you recognize any of the politicians?
I don't recognize too many of them. I didn't ask who they were. The only ones I really knew was Studs, a guy named Gall. Were any state senators from Nebraska, as far as I remember?
Did you recognize, aside from the fact that you had sex with some of these politicians, at some of these parties, did you recognize any prominent senators or congressmen or anybody? Even though you may not have had sex with them.
A lot of the parties I went to with King had prominent people, because in Washington, D.C., whenever we were down there, he always had parties. At the beginning of the party, he had a lot of young guys and stuff that were servers. We'd sometimes serve stuff, sometimes we'd be out in the background, we'd be walking around the party and stuff. Nothing was to take place then. After the party was over, the ones that were involved with him, or the ones that he was trying to get political favors from, that wanted whatever they wanted, they would stay or they'd come in after the party was over, or the next day. See, so at the party, nothing even abnormal. I mean, if somebody was in there and stuff, they'd see no abnormal activities going on, so they would, honestly be able to say that. I've been to parties, but I've never seen anything. So, but I've seen some parties down in Washington. I've seen President Bush there, which I'd rather not talk about him.
Wait a minute, what year was that? Was he
That
president
was
or vice
vice
president?
president. That's when he was still vice president. I've never met him as president because he became president in '88, and I never went around him after that.
You saw him at how many of these parties?
I seen him at about 3 or 4 parties. And
This
at
was
every one of
before-
the parties, you had a little ID card that you had to have. And they had a little scanner thing that when you went in, they run it across this thing to get in there and stuff. They had they had special agents everywhere, Secret Servicemen everywhere and stuff. And I fell off the balcony of the place. They had a little window and stuff, and I was sitting on there, and I fell off. Didn't get hurt, I got up, but I dropped my card, and I had Secret Servicemen with about 500 guns pointing, about 20 guns pointing at my head when I tried to go back in. Until Larry King came over and straightened it out and said he belongs in here, and that was kind of a spooky thing when you have all those guns pointing in your face and you're only about 15, 16 years old. But the reason was because the vice president was there, so they had to have all the Secret Service. But I also seen that some of them, I seen people like Maureen Reagan, which is, I believe, President Reagan's daughter.
What did Vice President Bush hang around after the party was over, or what?
He was after the party a couple of times, and we were hiding in the closet, but I I didn't do nothing with him. He was with a black kid and he was with a white kid.
What do you mean with a white kid and a black kid?
Well, there was one.
Tell me about the time when you were in the closet.
Well, me and this other kid, we were.
Who's the other kid?
I can't even remember right now. He was from the Washington, D.C. area. So he wasn't from around here, but we were just sitting in the closet talking, just kind of trying to mind our own business, because we were staying away from the rest of the party. We were in a back room in the bedroom.
Was this after the formal party was over?
Well, it was kind of during the formal party, but it was after a lot of people had already started leaving and stuff, and we remember that a couple of Secret Servicemen came in. One went to the window and looked around outside the window and stuff. The other one came in, looked in the closet, and thought he'd seen us.
Was it
He had a
dark?
flashlight. The lights were off. He didn't even bother turning on the lights. Come in with a flashlight. Looked in the closet. You know, I guess he didn't really look around it because me and him were sitting on the floor right below him. He kind of looked like this. He didn't even look down. Kind of looked like that and stuff. Turned around, walked out of the room and stuff, and then we seen this other guy come in and stuff, and I didn't recognize him at first.
Was the closet door open or closed?
It was partially open,
Okay.
so we could see out there and stuff. And it's like the two people I knew as Webb. There's two kids I knew as Webb and stuff. One of them was from Washington area. Here's a white kid. And the other one was a black kid. I seen it 2 different times.
Two different Webs. One is a white, one is a black kid.
Yeah.
Okay.
One was from Omaha or somewhere out here.
Was the white kid or the black kid from Omaha?
The black kid.
Okay.
He's one that was from this area. And I seen at the time Vice President Bush go in, and all he did was the kids performed oral sex on him. That was it.
Kids what?
Performed oral sex on him. And
The kid performed oral. Which of the black kid or the white kid?
both of them. Well, first I seen him at 2 different times. First with the white kid, then with
When
the
you
black
were in the closet?
Yeah, we
Was
were in the
that
closet both times.
Oh, were you?
That was our normal hideout. Me, him, and other kids and stuff. That's where we hid out at. We'd go in the closet and stuff when we wanted to get away from the party.
So you were in that closet twice when Vice President Bush came in?
And I was in the closet more than twice, isn't it?
I mean, when Vice President Bush came in, 2 separate parties, once with a white kid, once with a black kid? Is that right? So you saw him twice?
Yeah.
And the kid had to perform oral sex on him? And what happened after they finished?
And he just got up and left, and
That was actually an interview by Ted Gunderson interviewing Paul about the things he had seen in the past, things he had heard, whatever. So a little hard to tell, if he's telling the truth or not, but you're supposed to, be a little open-minded here. He is talking about something that happened 40 years ago, and this was done back in the 80s, the late 80s, the interview. Now, I remember that interview going a little bit further than the one that we just finished, but I'm pretty sure there's more video of that one out there, because I remember specifically him saying that George H.W. Bush said, put this cock back in your mouth, something like that, and that always stuck with me. So I know that video is out there somewhere. But this next one it looks like it might be a little bit earlier than the one with the Ted Gunderson interview. This one is way more far-fetched for most people to believe. It's basically the most dangerous game, if you remember that book, that story.
so we got off the plane, we went to the hotel, and we checked in, put all of our stuff in our room, and then Larry got on the phone and we called somebody, and they told us they'd be there and they'd be able to pick us up and take us out to somewhere. I didn't hear the whole conversation. And then about a half hour later, some guy came up, knocked on the door to them and stuff, and we went out. We got into big stretch limo that was there to pick us up, and we were out. And we drove about half hour, 45 minutes, and we drove outside the city limits, and we drove into a kind of a treed area. There's a lot of trees and stuff.
Weren't you scared?
No.
You weren't scared?
I wasn't scared because, I mean, I was, but I wasn't only scared until after I got there.
What about Nicholas? Was he scared?
Yeah.
Why didn't you guys leave? Why didn't you guys run? You had opportunity to leave, didn't you?
Yeah.
Why didn't you go tell somebody?
We didn't know what was going on until we got there.
Well, but I mean, when you... Okay, go ahead.
Once we got there, we didn't know what was going on. We got there and they told us they were going to be filming. They're just going to make a movie. And I'd already been out there about 3 dozen times and got filmed in movies having sex with guys or with other boys and stuff.
Same place? Same...
One time I was in the same place.
Same producer?
No, I didn't forget. And I didn't think anything bad about it, 'cause nothing ever had gone wrong before. Nothing like this anymore. And then they started us planning, and they started telling us what to say and what to do.
Who would tell you what to say and what to do?
This little time back, and he gave us his lines and stuff. He says, the only thing you have to do is say what you feel. Frankly, he says he wants it to be, look natural and it's everything you. He says, just go with what you feel. So I just want to, get you guys filmed, here. And they gave us these things like, called Tarzan uniforms, they had him in a cage and stuff.
Yeah, who in the cage?
The kid.
Was he crying?
Yeah.
At that point? That's all he did was cry the whole time? They didn't knock... Did anybody ever slap him and tell him to quit crying?
Yeah, they slapped him a lot.
And did he quit crying?
And he started to, and then I started talking to him and telling him it was going to be alright and that we weren't, nobody's going to hurt him. I tried to tell him nobody was going to hurt him. But he never believed me. And after a while, I didn't even believe him. But they had us, they took him out of the cage and stuff and they let him run. We were supposed to chase him down.
How big of a cage were you in?
We were probably about 5 by 5 feet.
So it's just a small cage.
A small cage.
And when you say we, who are you talking about?
Me and the other kid. Remember. They let this...
Nicholas?
Nicholas. They let him out of the cage.
Okay, now how many people were present?
There was me, Nicholas, the boy, Larry King, the pilot.
Pilot was there too?
Pilot was there too. Producer, and there was about 4 other people there that were filming this. And what they had us do is they had their camera set up so they let him out so that he could run. They had us chase him down. They told us that what we did was we chased him down, we were supposed to chase him down, and then we were supposed to drag him back. We were both bigger than he was because he was younger. And so we drug him down after he started running. We drug him around and stuff.
Whoa. How far did you chase him?
About 20 feet.
That's it?
It wasn't that fast.
Okay, so you caught him, and what did you do? Knock him down, or what?
Knocked him down and we drug him back up to where the cage is at and stuff.
How did you drag him?
I grabbed his legs and then he grabbed his arm and we just sort of kind of carried him back up, kind of dragging him.
Was he kicking, screaming?
He was kicking and screaming.
What was he saying?
Saying, please don't hurt me.
Did you hear him fall? Did you hear him fall? What'd you do to him, Paul? Huh?
I did what they told me to do.
What did they say to do to him, Paul?
Have sex with him?
Okay. Now you were used to having sex with people, right? Something else must have happened then when it fall.
He was crying and I was telling him, that you're alright. And I told the guy, I said, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this. But they're going, do it or else, or we'll finish you too.
Who's telling you this, Paul?
The guy that was directing the thing. You either do this or we're going to kill you too.
Do what, Paul? Do what?
Screw the kid.
Okay, so you screwed the kid, then what happened? Did Nicholas screw the kid too?
Yeah.
Something you're not telling me, Paul.
Yeah. Had some other guy came in and we didn't even know about it. And Nicholas didn't even know what was going to go on next. This guy came in and he started kicking the shit out of Nicholas and he started trying to kick the shit out of me. He started beating on the kid. He started beating on him.
Who started beating on him?
This guy that was with the film crew and stuff, he came in and he started having sex with this kid.
Okay.
He was bleeding.
Bleeding from where?
Right.
Okay. You okay?
And then this guy dragged him around.
Are you in the cage?
He started dragging him around. And he kept being. He just dragged the kid around. He was still having sex with him. He just tossing his kid around like.
Try to speak up, son.
He was tossing his kid around like it was a bag of potatoes or something. He started slamming him all over the place. And then he came back and he started kicking the shit out of me again. He started kicking my head. I started to do something to hit with a stick. Right in my balls. And tried to fight back. And he took me and Nicholas and shoved us in the cage. And he took this kid and he sat there and sat him up.
Sat him up.
Right next to the cage. And then he started kicking the kid in his face. The kid was just crying. I kept yelling at the guy's cell. I said, kill him if I got a hold of him. I said, no, they shot him.
You what?
Shot him. Shot him in his head. Right after that, I tried to kill myself. Took us back to the hotel and tried to cut my wrist.
Who shot him, Paul? Did you shoot him with a pistol or a rifle?
Because they had a gun. Pistol.
Where exactly did they shoot him on his body?
Shot him in his head.
Front and behind?
The front. I was just crying so much after they did that stuff. They opened the cage, they grabbed Nicholas, and they
Well, that kind of ended on a cliffhanger. I couldn't find the rest of that video. I know it's out there somewhere, but it's um it's pretty bad. It's still hard to tell whether or not he's telling the truth. A lot of the questions being asked by, I'm assuming in this video, it was the actual interview, interrogation, whatever they call it, deposition. Um, I couldn't tell. He didn't do it all the time, but it was almost like the interviewer was leading him on with the questions, and then Paul would answer with, basically the end of the question that was asked. But the last two times he didn't do it regarding the pistol, and I forgot what the other one was. But so maybe he is telling the truth. And then that's the problem is it sounds too crazy to think that it's real. And this kid, Paul says that he was a part of the MK Ultra program. That's basically how he got drug into all this stuff. He was already basically under mind control when he was younger, and then was shipped across the country to sex parties, and then I guess basically snuff films. Uh, and yes, the Larry King that he is referring to in these videos is the Larry King on TV. So yeah, um, I don't know. That's bad. Huh. It makes you wonder whether or not if it's true or not. I don't like these things do happen. To say that they don't happen is fucking ridiculous. And just because it's happening by allegedly by people that you see on TV all the time that are in politics, leading the country, people will automatically just assume that it cannot be true. So, and that's probably the best place to be in for these people is in positions of power where people will just automatically think and assume that it can't be true because that's our that's our leader, that's our past president, our current president, So I don't even know what to say. All I can say is you have to have an open mind with this stuff because it does happen. It does. These things exist. It's not just coming out of movies, Hollywood movies. It could be coming from the imagination of a person that is mentally ill, and that's what they were saying about Paul. When these allegations and these stories came out, and I don't know if he wrote a book or if others wrote books based off of his stories, but there are books out there written with all of this guy's alleged stories in them. And I don't really want to end it on a negative note like that, but that was kind of the point of me making this video, anyways, was to play these lost, well, not really lost, but just forgotten clips, these forgotten tapes of somebody that's been talking about these things happening back in the 80s, and that was 10, 15 years prior to when he started talking about them. So they've been happening for a long time. um, and I'll end it here, I guess, by saying my own little conspiracy. Because I was on X earlier, and Polymarket was showing the prediction, the odds for a basically financial collapse of the United States by January 31st, 2026. And up until today, which is the 30th of January, it's just been, 0 to 2%. And as soon as the Epstein files got dumped today, the odds of it happening shot up on Polymarket to like I think it was 99% chance of a of an economic collapse. And that made me think back to some of the content creators, the big people in podcasts talking about the reasons why Trump might not want to release, the Epstein files, and whether or not it was talking points put out there by Trump and the administration, or just a talking point created by somebody that was big, and it does make sense as to why Trump would not want to release the Epstein files, because it does put a bunch of powerful people across the country and the world in the hot seat. And when people, normies, when they finally realize and see just how corrupt their leaders are, it might make them basically just think, what's the point? Just tear it all down, basically, is what these people were trying to get at with why Trump wouldn't want to release the Epstein files. And there was another thing I saw too regarding, I want to say it was the EU, about the potential collapse coming to them was like at 75%, and that's probably because of the stuff with Prince Andrew that was released also, which we already knew that he was in the files. All that stuff's he's been one of the top 3 guys in the files besides Trump, Clinton. So yeah. My theory or prediction would be that maybe it is a part of the agenda, the plan to cause the collapse, because the ultimate, for starters, look at the amount of debt that the U.S. is in, 35 trillion or whatever it is now. There's no way to recover from that. The dollar is basically just a mirage of something that it once was. We're all just using it thinking that it still has value, and it has no value. So their ultimate goal, has been for the digital currency. So if you want to, basically speed up the process of a digital currency coming, you would collapse the entire economy with the old system. You want to crash the old system, the old paper economy, and replace it with the digital currency, the digital economy, which is already in place. Fed now is the American version, the Federal Reserve coin, whatever they call it. So that's my theory, my prediction on why it all just kind of it came out of nowhere as far as this huge dump of the Epstein files, and piecing all these past things, these past statements made by others together, and trying to figure out what the whole agenda would be. To me, it seems that it is to crash the system we are currently in, the old system, in their eyes, the old system that's riddled with debt because of the way that they spend money and their corruption, and replacing it with the digital economy, which we will inevitably be going into. I believe it's by 2030 they want this thing to be rolling out. And that's 4 years away. 4 years away. So I guess we'll see if if what I have predicted, will come true or not. So if you like this other anxiety hour rant, just give me a like, follow, that whole shit. But yeah, I'm still speechless on what Paul said. So whether or not it's true or not, it's crazy, it's wild. Keep an open mind, and thanks.